Hi everyone, how you're feeling today? I hope that you are all good, safe and healthy despite of the pandemic that we are experiencing right now. But don't worry, even though that you are in your house, you will gain new learning and ideas about the topic that I'm going to present. So without further ado, let's now start my presentation. So, observational learning theory. We all know that observational learning theory is one of the theories that we studied uh, when we were in college and until in this masteral level. But this observational learning theory, we are very much aware of it, especially as teachers, because observation can play a critical role in determining how and what children learn. It also helps us to better understand the strengths and weaknesses of each individual, especially the students that we are catering. So to improve the children's behavior, and it also helps us to facilitate what effective learning is all about. So, who is the proponent of this observational learning theory? It is no other than Mr. Albert Bandura. He was born on December 4, 1925. He was born in Canada but was raised in United States. So Bobodal was his famous experiment, and later on I'll be discussing what Bobodal is all about. He is an award-winning psychologist of all time. He published different academic journals when it comes to psychology and education. He is currently working as a professor at Stanford University and considered as the greatest living psychologist today at the age of 95 years old. So, what is observational learning theory all about? It is all about the process of learning through observing the behaviors of others and imitating those behaviors. So, in this definition, we need uh, to remember two important words, and that is observing and imitating. So, basically, we learn new actions through observations. So whenever we observe something, even if it's skill or behavior, we are tend to imitate those behaviors. Not really exactly what we observe, but it is guaranteed at least 90% of that observation we can able to imitate that action or skill. That is observational learning theory. And this theory was also classified as social learning theory, which emphasizes that people also learn through interaction with other people by observing and imitating their actions. So are my some example of observational learning theory. A child learns how to shoot a basketball by watching their favorite professional basketball player. So basically, the children learns how to shoot a basketball because he watched his favorite professional basketball player. It could be on television or in YouTube. A person learns how to hit the ball by watching his older sibling playing volleyball. And a child learns how to dance by watching his friends. So, what is Bobo doll experiment about? So, in 1961, Albert Bandura carried out his famous Bobo doll experiment. It is a study in which researchers physically and verbally abuse a clown-faced inflatable toy in front of a preschool-age children. And it was observed, yeah, definitely it was observed by the preschool age children, which led these preschool age children to later mimic the behavior of the adults by attacking the bobo doll. So basically, what the children observed he imitates that behavior. So the imitation of the behavior, it could be negative and positive. We'll discuss later on what is this negative and positive. And this observation, ah, let me go back. So if you want to further view what bubble doll experiment is all about, you can click the link below. Okay, so thank you. And we have two kind of observation here. We have the deliberate observation and incidental. So let us first focus on the deliberate observation. So when we say deliberate observation, it means that we have a direct source in attending an action or skill that being demonstrated. It means that we have a direct source of observation on the action or skill that being demonstrated. The presence of the teacher or coach or persons that going to demonstrate that skill is very important because there will serve as the model of that skill. So it says deliberate because we have a direct source of observing how a particular skill is being demonstrated. And that's the help of the teacher or the coach. As you can see on the picture that I have here, you can see the children and an adult. So basically, the children's direct observation will comes to the demonstrator, which is the adult. So the adult demonstrated how to dribble the ball, and that's why the children also imitates how to dribble the ball. Next, we have now the incidental observation. So when we say incidental observation, it is an indirect source of observation, not overtly aware of observing the skill, but we do become able to perform it. So unlike deliberate observation, incidental have no direct source of observation on the skill. But even though they are no direct source, they were able to perform it. So as you can see on the example that I have here, we have YouTube and TikTok. So why I use those to social media? Okay, because it is indirect. The source is in television. The source is in the YouTube. The source is in the monitor. There is no one. There is no actual demonstrator of the action or the skill. So basically, we are just watching what the skill is being performed on this platform. So after we watch the video, we could later perform the action. We could basically we could remember what the video tells us all about. So that is incidental. So are we clear now with regards to deliberate and incidental? That's very good. Now let's move on. In the observational learning theory, Albert Bandura identified three kinds of model, and they are live model, verbal, and symbolic model. So let us first define live. So when we say live model, it demonstrates a behavior in persons. So we could use the deliberate observation on this kind of model wherein there is an actual demonstrator of the skill or action. Next, verbal. So verbal model explain as or describe the behavior. This explanation or describe the behavior is using a verbal instructional model, meaning it does not necessarily performing the action, but instead explain or describe the behavior. So, for example, as when a soccer coach tells his young players to kick the ball with the side of the foot, not with the toe. So basically, it is an instruction. So that is verbal model. Next, we have a symbolic model, which can be fictional characters or real people who demonstrate the behaviors. So we could use Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant nor LeBron James to be this symbolic. Next, so let's analyze the pictures that I have here. So in letter A, you can see a yoga teacher and her students, and on letter B, there is a child who's watching a video. So yoga students learn by observation as their yoga instructor demonstrate the correct stance and movement of her students that can be considered as a live model. And if we're going to say, if we're going to put the verbal model, models don't have to present for learning to occur through symbolic modeling. So in letter B, we could consider that as a symbolic modeling. The child can learn a behavior by watching someone demonstrate it on television. So we could say that letter A means live model, letter B is symbolic model. We could also analyze that letter A could be a deliberate observation and letter B could be an incidental observation. So are we clear now? That's awesome. Next, we have here mental imagery. So what mental imagery is all about? So when we say mental imagery, it is a repetitive mental practice or mental training that designates mental representation of the performance of a motor pattern without concomitant production on the muscular activity normally required for the act. So basically, this mental imagery is a kind of mental rehearsals that involves the athlete imagining themselves in an environment performing a desired activity. It could be also a visualization of the skill in our mind. So how we're going to put this mental imagery into actual? For example, a child is on the seated on the bench watching his teammates playing volleyball. So it is a crucial game. So the child that is on the bench is a ace player. So while he is sitting on that bench, he was thinking or he is thinking of an idea or or a specific technique that he can use when he will play on the court. So, kumbaga, yung bata, nag-iisip siya ng mga techniques na pwede niyang gamitin once na makapasok na siya dun sa court. That is mental imagery. And kapag pumasok na siya sa court, no, nagkakaroon na siya ng ideas na ito yung gagawin ko, ito yung gagawin ko. So that is mental imagery. Nagkakaroon siya ng visualization. Naiisip niya na ano yung mga bagay na pwede niyang gawin once na nandun na siya sa isang laro. So that is mental imagery. Another thing, this mental imagery is a technique that athletes can use to supplement physical practice and improve their performance in their given sport. But why they use mental imagery? Because it has an effect on the following, especially in the performance, such as in strength, arm pointing capacity, range of motion, postural control, speed, accuracy, and motor skills. But we need to take note that mental imagery cannot stand alone for a better performance. Research finds out that the combination of the mental imagery and a physical practice is the most effective performance or is the most effective for being able to boost our performance. Therefore, mental imagery is a technique that can help athletes improve their performance, but just like all other skills, it requires practice to be most effective. So that is mental imagery. Now, we will have now the verbal coding. So when we see verbal coding, it is a technique wherein the skills is breaking down into words or language. Normally, the learners or athletes verbalizes what he is doing. For we able to understand this verbal coding and mental verbal coding, we could put this coding into mental imagery. Kailangan kasi mas magkasama yung mental imagery and verbal coding para mas lalo nating maintindihan talaga ano yung uh, ginagawa ng mga to, or it has something to do with the performance of a child. So, ang verbal coding um, the learner verbalizes what he is doing. So for example nito yung mga verbal cues na ginagamit natin, no? So pag sinabi ng teacher is lined up, arms forward raise. So the child has this kind of memory, or he remember what action could be done when the teacher says arms forward, sit properly, make a circular position, something like that. So, ang verbal coding din daw ay yung breaking down. It's the breaking down of skills na kailangan. So, ito yung paghihimay ng skill into words or language. Kadalasan, no, ang learner ay nagsasalita how to do it, but not necessarily as a spoken language. Pero sa isip ng mga bata, kapag ginagawa nila yung isang action, no, they convert the action into words or language. So, kumbaga yung parang pag naglalaro tayo, ako, for example, pag naglalaro ako ng volleyball, no, ito na, iput na natin yung mental imagery and verbal coding. Idol ko si Cha Cruz, if you know Cha Cruz from the De La Salle University, Manila. So, si Cha Cruz, no, pina-perform niya yung different positioning in volleyball. So, she could be a libero, she could be a setter, she could be a spiker, outside spiker, or open spiker. A blocker also. So, nung pinapanood ko si Chakers when I was a child, until this time, no, ino-observe ko how she performed those kind of skill. Paano niya nagagawa yon. And kapag napapanood ko nga siya, and then I have the opportunity to play in an actual volleyball game, no? For example, in intramurals, I was thinking of the excuse me, I was thinking about the performance or the action that Charcus done in her games. So kapag nandun ako sa court, no, nag-aala Charcus ako, nag-open spiking ako, nakaka-receive ako, tumatalon ako ng mataas, na yun yung nakita ko kay Charcus. So basically, no, in yung mental imagery na iniisip ko na gagawin ko, or nagkakaroon ako na idea na gagawin ko yung gagawin ni Chakras kapag ako ay nasa court na. So that is mental imagery. Saan naman papasok yung verbal coding? Yung verbal coding naman papasok pag sinabing alam nila ang position ko ay open spiker. Sasabihin ko, quick! So, pag sinabi ko ng quick, the setter will have this kind of memory na, magkukwik si Chakros or magkukwik si Dane. Then, ayun yung verbal coding. Alam niyo na yung gagawin niya. O pag sinabi na sa is, alam niya kasi niya ibibigay. Sa is na spiker. O pag sinabi naman na outside or utility, sa utility niya ibibigay. So that is verbal coding. Nagkakaroon na tayo ng cues what those words are meant. Pero instead of performing the action, we actually verbalizes the action. Yun. So si verbal coding, no, si learner yung gumagawa nito, hindi si teacher. Teacher will give us instruction, however, the learner will execute this kind of verbal coding. So, are we all clear now with this verbal coding and mental imagery? That's very good. Now, let's proceed to the steps for effective observational learning and modeling process. So how we will achieve this observational learning theory? We have these processes. So number 1 is the attention. Number 2 is the retention. Number 3 is the reproduction. And number 4 is the motivation. So let us now first tackle what is attention. Attention. We need to pay attention to what you are observing. Siyempre, in order to learn, you need to pay attention. Anything that distracts your attention is going to have a negative effect on observational learning. Para din yung mga bata, when we are teaching, no, kailangan ikot na natin yung attention nila because if we will not cut their attention on what we are teaching, therefore, the students will not learn anything. Tama? Nakikipagdaldalan yung mga bata. So, that is an attention. Example nito, paying attention in observing your teacher on how to properly dribble the ball. This kind of example in our field is very important. Pay attention. Because if the child will not pay attention on what we are demonstrating or what we are saying, therefore, the student will not be able to perform it very well. So, that is attention. Next, we have the retention. So, when we say retention, children must be able to remember, retain the behavior or skill that has been observed. So basically, this is the ability to store information is also an important of the learning process. Kailangan, when we are observing, kailangan ma-store natin yung mga ideas, knowledge or learning sa isipan natin para when we do the imitation, we could therefore remember easily what are the sequence, yung steps. 'Di ba? So retention can be affected by a number of factors. Tama naman. But the ability to pull up information later and act on it's vital to observational learning. So, yun yung sinasabi ko kanina na kailangan yung mga information that was stored in our memory, we could able to somehow apply it, perform it, or imitate it so that observational learning could take place. Kasi kapag hindi mo naalala yung mga ginagawa mo or yung napanood mo, therefore, walang observational learning na nangyari. So, that is retention. Pangatlo, we have the, I have this example. Sorry. The child was able to remember the dance steps taught by his dance teacher. So, ayan nga, no, retention. Kapag pinatugtog na natin yung music, parang classical conditioning yan, no? Pag pinatugtog na natin yung music, the music will serve as the, it makes the child conditioned by the music. And kapag narinig na nga nila yung music, alam na ng mga bata ano yung step na dapat nilang gawin. Importante itong retention talaga kasi it also serve as a fundamental or foundation of learning para sa akin, ha? Yung mare-recognize natin, mare-retain sa atin yung information para whatever ano man yung mangyari, no? Ano man yung gawin natin ulit ay mare-remember natin kasi with this we have this kind of storing of information, and that is retention. Pangatlo, we have here reproduction. Reproduction is the ability to replicate the behavior that the model has just demonstrated, or simply its application. So once you have paid the attention to the model and retain the information, the third process should be reproduction. It is time now to actually perform the behavior you observe. Further practice of the learned behavior leads to improvement and skill advancement. So, kailangan nga to, no? Ito yung pinaka-application na nung dalawa, nung observing, yung paying attention, and the retention, yung na-stored nating information. Ngayon, kapag meron na tayo ng dalawa, kailangan naman natin ma-apply. So, that is reproduction. So, teachers, kailangan, we need to guide our students in this part, the performing or the application, no, para naman even though in the first phase, the attention and retention, kailangan nating gabayan sila for they able to execute properly the skill that we are going to teach. So, example nito, no, the child was able to dribble the ball as what he observed from his brother. So, una, the child learns how to dribble the ball by his brother. So, ano yung mga nakikita niya dun sa kuya niya, ini-imitate niya. So, that is already a reproduction, no? He could able to perform it, he could able to apply what he observed and to remember based on the observation that he did. Next, we have this one, motivation. So, motivation, child receive a consequence from the environment that changes the probability the behavior will occur from the child again. So, this is the last part, no? In order for observational learning to be successful, you have to be motivated to imitate the behavior that has been modeled. So, underneath we do have the vicarious punishment and vicarious reinforcement. So, ano ba ibig sabihin ng dalawa? Pag sinabi nating vicarious punishment, no, it defined as where the observer sees the model punish, it making the observer less likely to imitate the model's behavior. So, yung vicarious punishment, once the child sees that there is a punishment, not really a punishment, no, but parang nakikita nilang parang may nahihirapan or parang may mali, no, the children will likely less imitate that behavior. So, yung punishment, no, the model may be hurt either physically or emotionally in some way, or they may be prevented from getting positive or desired results. The observer sees the consequence that person suffers, so they avoiding what the model did. So, kapag nakikita nilang nahihirapan din yung model, ikaw ba pag nakikita mo yung model din nahihirapan, gagawin mo pa rin ba? So, you are most likely not to imitate those behaviors. So, putting in our profession, once na nakikita mo yung teacher mo, no, hirap na hirap siya dun sa step na tinuturo niya, parang hindi niya alam yung step na tuturo niya, ikaw ba, you will do the same thing? I-imitate mo ba yung mga tinuturo niya na alam mo, na parang alam mo na mali? So, hindi, 'di ba? So, iyon yun, vicarious punishment. So, when we say vicarious reinforcement, it is where the observer sees the model rewarded, making the observer more likely to imitate the behaviors. So, basically, it is a counterpart of vicarious punishment. Ito yung reinforcement na nakikita natin na yung model, there is a good the benefits of having this, of following the model. Kumbaga, may matututunan ka, meron kang magiging na benefits from that. So, in this sense, the child will likely to imitate your behavior. Parang teacher, di ba? The teacher influence a lot of children basically because the teacher demonstrated good behavior. Kaya nga, pag tinatanong natin yung bata, what do you want to be? I want to be a teacher. So, bakit gusto mo maging teacher? So, sinasabi nila, what are the good benefits of being a teacher, or what are the good ideals in becoming a teacher. So yun. That is vicarious reinforcement. So summary lang natin, no? Observational learning theory was made by, or the proponent of this observational learning theory is no other than Mr. Albert Bandura. So definitely, we learn by observing and imitating the actions. So yun. So observation can be deliberate or incidental. When we say deliberate, we have an actual source of the demonstrator or the action that being performed. While incidental, no, we have an indirect source. We have an indirect source of observation on the skill. But even though that we have an indirect source, we can able to perform it. Next, mental imagery and verbal coding, no? Basta mental imagery is a visualization of the skill in our mind. While okay, so while mental imagery, ayun yung visualization in our mind, visualization of the skill in our mind. So after the student will execute a particular skill, no, he later on practice and keeps practice on that until such time that he was able to perform it effectively and correct. Then verbal coding, no, it verbalizes the action, not necessarily doing the action, but verbalizes or poking or saying the actions that he's going to perform. So yun. If you do have questions, just put your questions on the discussions that I'm going to create on our school book. I hope that you learn something, you learn some ideas about this observational learning theory. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye.